What's up, guys? Mason the Brock Henderson here, and go back home, New York. Go back home. You just go. Just go, you bunch of babies. God, I swear. Watching, what's his name, Morales, David Villa, all a bunch of babies. I mean, you go down 3 goals, and now everything's a foul. Everything, they're looking for a yellow. Every single time there's a little bit of scuffle, they're pushing people back. And of course, the referees don't help because they're too busy. Oh, come on, let's get the time going. And I'm just like, dude, why don't you actually call some fouls instead of telling our keeper to hurry up? Kind of already started the review without meaning to. Anyway, so I would obviously like celebrate and jump around and stuff if it weren't so late. So let's just go ahead and get into a few of the talking points before I get into more individual performances. First of all, I will briefly go over the referees because, as much as I've talked about them before, it's still pretty bad. Not as bad as some of the games we've had, but still a lot of problems. Still a lot of mistakes. A lot of, oh, this guy slides in, gets the ball, it's a foul, but then this guy slides in, doesn't get the ball, it's not a foul. A lot of grappling going on where Villalba was pretty much just hugged most of the match. Whenever we kept kicking it downfield, it felt like every single time it did, defenders on him like this, and there's nothing, and then the ball goes over them, and he tries to reach around the guy to get around him. Oh, but that's a foul. So it needs to be more consistent. If grappling isn't going to be a foul, it still shouldn't be a foul if the attacking player does it. If the defending player is doing it and it's not a foul, the attacking player shouldn't get called for it either. That being said, there were a couple decisions that we did benefit from. The third goal, specifically, what's his name? Callens, I think is his name, number 6 from New York. Most referees probably would have called that just because they're kind of tussling, and the guy goes over. The referee didn't call it, and in my opinion, obviously I'm biased, but it looked like a good call. We watched the replay on the big screen as well, and it looks like the guy just sort of fell over looking for the call, and the referee said, no, keep playing. And there were quite a few times where their defense kept just falling over looking for the foul, and for the most part it wasn't called. That being said, there were times it was called, and so that's kind of the frustration. It's like, if you're not going to call it there, great, but you can't call it and give them a free kick top of the box just because one of their players fell over. So make a decision. Don't go back and forth on it. So referees are just part of the game, but they can be better. They should be better. On to New York's side, just quickly talk about them a little bit because I'll be frank, they were not nearly the team that we faced when we played them up in New York. And part of that could be because this stadium is not only a bit bigger because it's not on a baseball field, but also it's not artificial turf, it's actual grass, and I'm pretty sure Yankee Stadium has artificial turf, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong about that, but I mean, really, it's one of those makeshift stadiums inside of a baseball field. It just doesn't feel right. This is an actual football stadium turned into an actual football stadium, so it really did affect some of them, I think. Just watching some of their passes go wildly astray, some of the defenders look like they didn't know what to do. Their clearances, their passes were just really, really poor. So I don't know what happened to them tonight, but for the first half especially, they started off pretty quick, but as we started getting into it, as we started dominating the game, they had no answer. And so they had a little bit to do with that, but a lot of it was we were ready. And you could just tell from the beginning that there was almost like this sense of revenge. That's what I heard that word a few times mentioned leading into the game. It was like revenge on the social media page. Revenge. Let's get revenge. And it kind of felt like that. As we're playing, as we started getting to the game, obviously the first 5 minutes was a little bit sketchy. But as we started getting to the game and we really started taking the game to them, it was like we're out for revenge. We get 1 goal, that's not enough. Let's keep pushing. We get a second goal, that's not enough. Let's keep pushing. We get a third goal. It just felt like we wanted to score as many as possible. So I love, first of all, the atmosphere. Brilliant again. I love being a part of this. I love being one of the fans inside the stadium, jumping, clapping, cheering, standing up the entire match, even though it's hot and my feet hurt. It doesn't matter because we're in the game. We're a part of it. We're fans. It feels so good to be a part of a fan base. And I say that as a Chelsea fan, not being able to go to London and watch them live, getting to experience this live as a fan, especially not just a fan, but also I'm from Georgia. I live here, so it almost feels like this is the hometown team. It feels really, really awesome, and just the atmosphere, everything about it is so, so great to be a part of. So let's get on to the individual reviews. Uh, First of all, start with Alec Cannon goal again. One of his better games. More from the distribution side, I think tonight. That's where I really noticed, like, holy crap, he. There were a couple just really good long balls, a couple really good goal kicks, a couple really good punts, where they were really really good at not only finding a target but also getting it down the field. Um, One in particular, it was off a punt, and like he picked it up and saw they had pushed really really high, and so he's just up, sends it, and Villalba ends up winning the ball off the defender. Didn't make anything of it. He tried to find a little space to pass, and it moved it around a little bit more. So nothing directly off of the punt, but it did create a chance for us to where now New York has to get back, and now they're having to drop in. As far as saves go, he had a couple to make that were fairly rudimentary saves. There was one from Villa in the first half that looked like it was a pretty dangerous shot, but it was on the other side of the field, so I couldn't really tell how close it was to being in. But he had to make that save. When he came to our side, though, that was the only save in the first half. When he came to our side, he had to make a couple saves. The goal wasn't really much he can do about it. Obviously somebody should be picking up that guy at the near post so he doesn't have a free tap in. But there's also the question of could Can have possibly come out and won it before it got over there? It's hard to tell in the moment. Looking back, you may say, oh, well, he should have read that and went ahead and started dropping in back post. But it's one of those things where in the moment it's hard for me to tell. It's not like I get to watch the replay over and over again on TV. So that's the only side of these reviews that I think hurts a little bit is whenever I do see it live, there's not really a replay I can watch unless I turn around and look at the board behind me. But then I miss part of the game because they kick off and now they're still showing the replay. But it looks like there wasn't much he could have done about it. It looked like he did get over there and the guy just put it low and under him. So it looked like it was just a nice finish after a nice cross. Defense-wise, staying back four, Garza, Parkhurst, Perez, and Mears. Switch Parkhurst and Perez. Garza and Mears both did pretty well today. Garza definitely came up with some really good defensive work, but his offensive side of the game is where I've noticed him a bit more, just getting down and helping in the attack. He wasn't really effective there today. He had a few good moves, but overall he wasn't as either involved or effective. So either they were on the right side a lot, or whenever it came over to the left side, it felt like he didn't really do much with it. It was just a simple pass. If he tried something fancy, it didn't really come off for him today. But defensively, he was really solid today. He stepped in. He won a lot of balls. He had to, there was, I don't know the guy's name. It was number 11 for New York. Very fast player. And he was the right wing for them today. So Garza had to try to keep up with him and keep him in check. And he did that for the most part. So really good performance from him. Mears, pretty good today as well. Defensively, didn't really see him as much because mainly they were going down the right side. But we went down our right side a lot. So he was involved a lot. He and Gressel were kind of interchanging a little bit. So he did okay. Didn't really see anything special from him, but he did well. Perez definitely had a good game today. My only problem with him is he is very much, I don't know if he's an emotional player or I don't know what it is, but you can see a lot of the times he doesn't let stuff go. And I don't mind, obviously sometimes you do have to talk to the referee because if he's not making the right calls, you do have to say something. But then there are players like Perez, and, there honestly a lot of New York's team was like this tonight, but Perez was the one for us. I'm just like, all right, dude, come on, stop. Because they don't know when to stop. They don't know when to stop talking to the referee. They don't know when to stop going over him, getting in his face and saying, hey, hey, hey. So that part of his game needs to be cut out because all around he's a good defender. He plays very well with his feet. He moves the ball very well. Great player, but he lets it get to his head whenever calls aren't going our way, whenever fouls are coming in, the ref's not calling anything. He lets that get to his head a lot, and so he starts to get in his face. He starts to yell at him, and now all of a sudden he's not in position as they're ready to take a quick free kick. So That'll be the one thing that I think really needs to change for him, because if he cuts that out of his game, I really think he's probably one of the best defenders in the league. I don't think I've seen a defender that's able to do as much as he does that we've played yet. And then Parkhurst did better at being a leader tonight, just mainly at kind of being that, not only that option, but also being sort of the one that dropped whenever they're coming forward. Most of the time it's Laurentowicz that drops really deep. Tonight it felt like he was dropping maybe a little bit deeper than Laurentowicz was. So I really like seeing just that interchange of, we've got those three that sort of, either Laurentowicz drops in, they push up a little bit, or one of them drops in while Laurentowicz is pushed up. They did very well at organizing that tonight. And honestly, throughout most of the game, I can't really think of many chances that New York had. I mean, obviously the goal, but I can't really think of many saves that Can had to make. There were a couple corners that were a little bit dangerous, but there were no shots from it. It was kind of bouncing around, and we're like, get it out, get it out, get it out. So, but defensively, we were pretty well organized tonight, especially against a team like New York that has good attacking talent. So that's always good to see, that you only let one in on a team like New York. Part of that, though, does have to do with the Laurentowicz, and it's so funny because I feel like I'm going to go back and watch some of my first videos reviewing these games and talk about, who is this guy? He's slow, he doesn't track players, why do we even have him in there, and all that stuff. And now I'm just like, I can't imagine not having him in. Like, he's just such an influential player, from the tackles he makes to his positioning to how he's marking players out of the game. At times he does lose focus. That is still a problem. It's still something I see at times, whenever he's going out to track somebody, or whenever he's going out to close down a pass, the pass comes in and he doesn't turn on. He kind of just stops and that guy makes a run. He's not always aware of that. So that still is a bit of a problem, but I mean, there are many times tonight where I can think of where he's winning the ball. He's the one. They might have a counter. No, Laurentowicz is stepping in. They might possibly have some possession. No, he's won the ball. He's sliding in. He's forcing a mistake. He did very well tonight when it came to defense, the defensive side of the game. But he's also pretty good at distributing too. But I will say, of the two, I think Carmona is probably a better distributor, and I'm starting to see more and more that he does have that in his game. Now, his tackles still need a lot of work. Like I said in the past few games, he likes to slide a lot. Obviously, he's been sent off before. He's had a couple really dangerous tackles that he's gotten carded for as well. I don't know what it is. I don't know why he enjoys sliding in so much, but every time I'm just like, Carlos, come on, let's calm down. Let's not slide in, because especially whenever it's a team that's very skilled with the ball, you don't want to go sliding in, because if you do, they could beat you. You're done. You're on the ground. You're not going to win the ball after that. So that side of his game still needs to improve, but on the ball, he's very solid. He's very good at distributing. He's very good at finding those long balls that can pick out, the front three in Villalba, Asada, and Gressel. So I really do like what he does on the ball, but defensively, off the ball, I think he needs to improve that side of his game a bit more. And then finally, I guess they're almost like a front four, but I'll say Almiron is more of like a free-flowing player. He just has kind of this license to roam in the midfield. He can go up and be another striker. He can drop in and help out with the passing in there, the keeping possession, or he could even fly out wide and kind of help out with the wing out there. So he's just all over the place. Got himself 2 more goals tonight. He is solid. He is a very good player. And I'm so glad we picked him up, because he's doing wonders for us right now. Honestly, if it weren't for him, ever since Martinez got injured, it's just we didn't know where the goals were going to come from. Like, okay, are we still going to be as effective without him? If we've ever needed that, he's always stepped up. Whether it's an assist, whether it's setting up a play, whether it's getting a goal himself, he's really started just coming out of his shell, really showing his ability. And I mean, both of his goals, just that instinct of where to be in the box is just incredible. Gressel gets down to the line. Both times he's just there. He's right where he needs to be. Gressel cuts it back both times, and he's in the right spot. Even the second time where somebody's just like, oh, I need to watch that guy, even then, he still finds a way to pass it to the far corner, even with pressure on him. So he's such a good player, and honestly, watching him combine with other players, it's like they've started to get this rhythm of they know where they're all going to be. They know the runs that each other are making. You know, watching the quick pass to get it out of danger. It's incredible. It really looks smooth and just awesome. As for the front three, Assad, Gressel, and Villalba, uh, Assad had an average game. Didn't really do a whole lot going forward. You know, just he had a couple good runs that looked like they might have led to something, but then they didn't because he had to cut it back because he was under pressure. I would like to see maybe a bit more from him as far as whenever he's making that run, maybe try to take it inside and either force a corner or force a foul. You know, one of those two. Because it feels like every time he's making that run and he's running here, the defender's running here to kind of cut him off. It feels like it's always back this way. And so now all of a sudden he's coming back, and now all of their defense has had time to kind of push back and crowd the box out. I prefer he just take that run and curl it inside and kind of turn on the speed really fast, or just try to cut it back or cut it across into a dangerous area. But it's kind of a minor thing. It's just one of those things that whenever I see him, I'm like, all right, just take it and go, and he always wants to cut back and find a pass. So it's not bad. It's just I guess kind of a preference because we're so high press and so high attacking, go. He's one of those players that isn't one of those I'm just going to go. He's more of a I'm going to try to find a pass. And it works at times. Sometimes it doesn't. Tonight it didn't come off as much. So small thing, but a little thing to look at going forward. Gressel obviously got himself a goal last game, got himself 2 assists this game. Playing better, but still some issues. I feel like I've said that probably 3 or 4 times this season. I don't know, it just at times like those 2 cutbacks, brilliant, exactly what we needed. You know, well done to outmuscle the defender on the 3rd goal that set up Almiron second. I mean, just both of them really good passes that just cuts it back, finds the right pass. Both really good. But then there were a lot of mistakes where I'm just like, it should be a simple pass. Or, best example, there were 2 times, one in the first half, one in the second half, where we're just combining. We are passing, we're moving the ball around. New York is just chasing. You can tell we're just trying to wear them out. So we're just moving the ball around the field. And it comes to this one point where it's just quick passing, just boom, 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 boom. Just little triangles around the top of their 18. Ball goes to Gressel, and all of a sudden they've got it. Because I don't know what it is about him, but some of his passes just do not come off. It just feels like half of his passes are to the other team. And whenever you're supposed to be our starting player, whenever you're supposed to be up there in like the starting 11 and you're the player that we look to find a pass to, your passing's got to be better. You've got to find feet. You've got to find our feet. You can't keep finding the other team and keep making these mistakes and crosses just flying to the other side of the goal, not finding anybody because they're too strong. Which he wasn't the only one to do that tonight, but I don't know, just too many mistakes where I'm just like, Gressel, you know, like he's got to do better. He's got to do better overall because you can't keep making mistakes and expect to constantly be picked in the first team. And honestly, when Kratz comes on, he doesn't really, I don't know, he's not really much of a forward player. It feels like he's much more like I'm going to battle and win the ball back. And it doesn't seem like whenever we have the ball, he's that involved. But I still see him making clean passes, making passes that work. Whereas Gressel, sometimes he does, but sometimes it leads to a poor mistake. So, yeah, it's hit and miss for him, but 2 assists tonight, so good job. I don't know. I hope I don't get hate for that one, but it really is kind of frustrating whenever we've been keeping possession for so long. We've been doing well to move the ball around, and then it gets to Gressel, and then now it's their ball. And it gets frustrating after a little while. And then finally, Villalba up top wasn't really involved that much tonight. A lot of that had to do with the fact that the defenders were kind of beating him up, and the referee wasn't calling anything. But he did get himself a goal. It was a very well-taken goal at that. So, yeah, overall, pretty pleased with him. Just, he's not... Where you see Martinez trying to work out his own chances, he's trying to force his own chances. Villalba doesn't really do that. He's more, I think I said this last game as well, he's more of a player that if the ball comes to him, yeah, he's definitely going to work and fight hard to try to win it back. But he's not a player that's going to try to make this great run that it may tire him out. It may force him to work a little bit more, but he's gonna find that run. He's gonna find that run that really cuts the defense apart. And now they have to scramble to try to cover for him, and that's just what Martinez does so well. So hoping. I feel like he's been on the verge of recovery for 3 weeks now. So I don't know when to expect him back. I don't know how bad this injury was. I thought it was just going to be a month, and it's almost 2 at this point, I think. So I hope Martinez comes back soon because we do need. I mean, honestly, we do need a striker up there who's going to. Whenever, obviously tonight we don't need that type of striker because we're moving the ball so well. We're just cutting the defense apart. But there are some nights whenever the defense is going to be very packed and they're going to be very organized, and those are the nights when we're going to need a forward like Martinez. It's going to cut the defense apart either with one pass or with one run. He's going to find that way. It seems like there's no way, but he's going to make sure he finds a way. So, yeah, it's just little things to look at going forward. As far as the subs go, Kratz was the first one to come on for Gressel. It's kind of a sub that I've become accustomed to. Most of the time, it's just let Gressel run himself out, do as much as he can, and then Kratz comes on as kind of just a solid player. He does his job very well, does well to win the ball back, fights really hard despite the fact that he's a bit smaller than most of the players out there. So I really appreciate his hard work. I would like to see what it was like, what it would be like for him to actually start a game, because I don't know. From what I see, I haven't seen much from him, but I have to wonder how much of that is just it's because he's going out there when the rest of our team is worn out. How much of that, if he went out there when we were still going and we're still attacking, how much would he be involved? I want to see that. And then the next one to come on was Kenwin Jones comes on for Villalba, another one that we've become accustomed to. And then finally McCann comes on for Almiron. Just getting him some rest, getting McCann some time. So overall, though, I mean, just a really, really brilliant performance. I mean, just good team performance, good individual performances. We've moved very well tonight. We moved the ball around. Like I said, it feels like we have kind of a second instinct of, I know where the next pass is going to go. Whenever they flick it on, it's like, I know he's about to flick it on. And he makes a great run, and they know he's going to make that run. So they just work so well together, and it moves so well tonight. It was a beauty to watch. So I hope we continue to keep it going, keep pushing, keep the momentum, especially because next 2 weeks we're going to be away. I hope we can take this momentum to those away games and say, all right, we may be away, but we're still a good team. We're still solid. We're still going to take it to them, and we're going to do as much as we can. So, yeah, that's about it. I guess going forward, one of the other things to look at is Guzan's coming in pretty soon. I want to say they said July, like the beginning of July. Not sure if that's right or not, but he is coming in soon. Like I said, in the past couple of games, Cam's done pretty well. So I'm glad that he's starting to step it up. I was really worried earlier on in the year whenever we were conceding goals like crazy. A lot of it was because Cam just doesn't move his feet well, and he doesn't really get side to side very well. So it feels like all you really have to do is just pass it to the other side of the goal, and chances are probably won't get there. But it was kind of a concern with Guzan coming in that it was just going to be Guzan comes in, there's no competition, and Guzan takes the place. I really hope Can continue to improve and grow as a keeper because I want there to be competition. I want it to be Guzan, you're not having a good game. Next game Can gets the start. And we can trust him in that way. Guzan's like, all right, I can't slack off. I have to push forward. I have to get better. So that's just something to look at going forward. And obviously with Martinez coming back, it's going to create a bit more competition inside as well. Hopefully he comes back as strong as he was when he first got injured because we need a player like that right now who we are still conceding goals fairly easily from time to time. I mean, the goal tonight was just we turned off. It was from our corner too, so you can see that we're still lacking something defensively. So we need to make sure that we have people up top who can score. So even if we give up a couple goals, it's like it's all right. We'll score like 3 or 4 or 5, so we'll be okay. But that's about it for me, so let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. What were your thoughts on tonight's game? Who's your man of the match? Let me know. We can talk about and discuss all that good stuff. Leave a like and subscribe for future Atlanta United reviews, and I'll see you at the next game. Peace out.